What you just heard was a supercut of some of the pandemic's most viral tunes. Now, I can hear you cringing at that joke, and you know what? That's fair enough. It's a lame pun. But it begs the question, should we be joking about a time like this? Safe to say, the jury's still out on that one because the pandemic was nothing short of chaotic. It was a mess. But since we're hardly music students, let's use music as a means to make sense of this once-in-a-generation event. Specifically, let's return to the songs we played for you earlier. Spanning various genres such as country, rock, and pop, these songs fall into a new category called Coronamusic. As the name suggests, these songs are not united by a particular sound so much as they are by the topic and temporality. In other words, they're all trying to speak to the pandemic's unique conditions. But be that as it may, despite the novel circumstances of the pandemic, the behavior of these musicians is not unprecedented. Germany actually has a word for this, and they've had it for a while. Sadly, none of us speak German, so we're not going to say it. But we can tell you what it means. In short, the Germans understood that in times of crisis, it is common for music to be made in such a way that it reflects a certain social reality. Why? Because music is incredibly well placed to help people cope with socio-emotional stress and uncertainty. Once again, this is not a new concept. In fact, it's pretty ancient. Still, there are scholars out there who have done great work relitigating this concept in a contemporary context. In particular, several studies have found that music was primarily a behavior for us to cope with the pandemic. That said, these coping mechanisms were by no means uniform. To condense this body of scholarship, let's briefly go over these three. The first is perhaps the most intuitive. Given the heightened stress, anxiety, and loneliness at the time, many people chose to listen to music as a means of regulating these negative emotions and finding solace. In situations where one feels lonely, where they have lost their self-agency, music is able to act as an agent and address the listeners in their distress. For most, listening to music in this manner helps one feel validated, understood, and thus comforted. In terms of the choice of the music, these studies emphasize listeners' productivity towards nostalgia, with demands for older music rising in several countries across 3 continents. This is because nostalgic music perfectly counterbalances the pandemic's negative emotions, providing stability and familiarity. However, in some edge cases, nostalgic music can end up consolidating feelings of isolation, loss, and even bitterness. Researchers note that for these histories of depression and other chronic mental health conditions, nostalgia can be a double-edged sword. Somewhat related to the concept of nostalgia, scholars have also homed in on the usage of happy music. There isn't much analysis on the composition of happy music, rather the focus is on the effect. In short, studies found that happy music is something people consume to find motivation and improve productivity. Unsurprisingly then, happy music has proven to be a hit amongst remote workers. 72% of which report making pump-up playlists in order to boost their energy levels and make them better workers. This habit extends beyond the 9-to-5, with a significant portion of parents claiming that listening to happy music has also made them better parents. Whatever that means. So, in this instance, music is still being consumed and incorporated into one lifestyle's behavior, but the desired end isn't to process emotions so much as it is to be motivated and productive. Speaking of productivity, third coping mechanism actually doesn't involve all that much listening. Instead, there is a decent portion of people who cope with the pandemic by producing music. Whether it's a professional musician or a complete rookie, making music is understood to be a coping mechanism for people who tend to experience more positive emotions than negative. If it helps, this response was framed by scholars as the opposite of those who preferred to listen to nostalgic music. For music makers, the act of production creates a swathe of positive effects, such as serving as proxy for social interaction and enabling individuals to self-reflect. In this sense, people in this category see themselves as having much more agency and optimism. And music is no longer just a behavior, but a process as well. Overall, while people use music to cope with the pandemic in many different ways, it seems the most important takeaway is that they turn to music at all. The accessibility and flexibility of music is to supersede other actions such as gardening, meditation, exercise, and even recreational drug use is a fascinating growing activity in terms of importance during COVID-19. And the impact is there for all to see. For 69% of Americans, music has become so important to their well-being that they readily give up their favorite social media account for 1 year before giving access to music. As a CEO of Sound United, one of the many organizations that researched this topic, said, Music is more than a hobby. It is a lifeline.